everyone, my name is Linda and welcome back to my channel. As someone who's been working from home full-time for the last 2.5 years, but has had a home office for the past very long time, my office space is something that I use every single day. In the new world of Zoom, this right here is the beautiful background that everybody sees. What they don't see, however, is that this office is usually a complete disaster. An office, for most people, serves as so much more than just a place to do work and some appointments. And our office is absolutely no exception to that. It is a landing place for everything relating to our financial business, everything related to production and editing, and everything to do with our social media and our channels, including this one. It's where we do meetings, it's where we drop off all the paperwork to be filed for taxes or whatever else might come up, and it's two of us who share this space. So I've put off an office video basically since we have lived here. But today, I'm going to talk to you guys about how we organize our office so that when it does come time to use it, it is a super quick clean and easy enough to maintain. We are also going to do a little bit of decluttering. I'm going to see if I can't figure out a solution to the excessive amount of cords that we have to deal with. And I am 100% open to suggestions. So if you have an office, yours is a mess, and you've had a solution, go down below, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. But also, if you're enjoying these cleaning and decluttering organization videos, go down below and hit the subscribe button, because I love having you all here joining me on this adventure to becoming a little more minimalist. So let's start with a quick tour of what our office typically looks like on the day-to-day basis. First off, we have yet to figure out a manageable solution for these cords. On top of that, we have piles of receipts, a bag for my new tripod, one laptop, but also 2 laptops, an extra keyboard, 2 mice, planners, and other random stuff. The other biggest challenge we face in the room is 2 office chairs. 2 very large office chairs. But then there's the stuff you don't see, like the random pile of decluttering stuff on the ground, editing material that never gets put away, random pieces of filter paper, an overly large dog bed with no dog, a stool that somehow made it in here, and our beautiful new blackout curtains, which we absolutely adore. So while our office looks absolutely beautiful from a Zoom screen, the reality is that just like anyone else, our office is in constant need of a little bit of love. This being said, we have a few organizational strategies that help us keep this space as decluttered as possible, with a system of ongoing decluttering as a process. So I think at the very basic foundation, I think it's important to start with a clean workspace. So before we dig into too much of this, we are going to clear the workspace, talk about what we keep on the workspace, because it is very minimal most of the time, and how we set up our workspace so that the two of us, Jason and I, can both work in this space when we need to. So while this tabletop dries, I want to talk about what we actually keep for office supplies on our desk at any given time. We have this cute little caddy, which has more stuff in it than we normally keep. So we're gonna go through it together and keep only what we actually need in here. So I'm gonna start by emptying it. So starting with a clean slate. At one point I did have smaller cups that was an attempt to be more minimal, but realized that I just needed a little bit more on my desk than a couple pens. So I got this. It was originally black. I spray painted it rose gold to meet my own personal preferences. But it allows us to also separate what we keep on our desk into its own space. So everything has a space, but it also allows us to maintain some kind of organization with our space. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I do keep in our little desk caddy. When it comes to pens, I have decluttered a bunch of my pens. I would like to state this as a fact. Just because you have a pen and it works does not mean that you need to keep it. So often I chat with people on a decluttering or minimalist journey who say, I have hundreds of pens. I don't know where they came from. I don't know how they got into my house. They're typically branded pens that you pick up for free at your doctor's office or different promotional events. But it is okay to get rid of pens or Sharpies or highlighters if you don't use them. Oftentimes when these items are donated to a reuse center or a thrift store, they get put to good use. So when it comes to pens at our desk, these are the ones that we have. First off, talking about not real pens, but still very important, we have our laptop pens. So our laptops are touchscreen, each of them have their individual pens, and those pens sit in here. We also have an erasable pen for Jason's Rocket notebook. So because we only have one of these and we don't want to lose it within our excess office supplies drawer, this goes in here. When it comes to the real actual pens that we use, typically we will use a regular pen for writing in our planners or on post-it notes, but we have these nicer quality pens that we actually got from a travel company. Each one of these comes with a refill. And to be honest, I think these are the pens that we are going to stick with moving forward, is pens with refills. Typically, they're a much nicer pen to write with. They feel a lot better if you need to hand them to a client to write with, and they mean less clutter. So you got the pen, and we got the refill. Another pen that occasionally finds its way into our caddy, especially if we put our good pens in our planners and move them outside of the room, we do have a couple good branded pens that I like the way they write, and these will occasionally find their way in here. Never do we have more than 2 pens in this at any time. So because Jason has his pen with him, I'll put that one back in there. Next, within our tiny little caddy, a few other key essentials are post-it notes. That being said, I've noticed that we have maybe a little bit more in here than we need. So I'm actually gonna take this bigger stack, put it in the caddy, and I'm gonna relocate these smaller stacks into our overflow office supplies. There are a few other odds and ends that fit within our little caddy. First is the cord that connects my phone to the laptop. At this point in the game, I record all my videos on my cell phone, and being able to connect the phone to the laptop is obviously really important so that this video gets to you. So that goes into our little caddy. Some other odds and ends are just things that we've noticed are handy to keep close because we use them all the time. Some of them, I get it, such as hand lotion or a lip chap. But we also have things like an Allen key to tighten the office chairs. Almost made a mess of that. But a measuring tape. You would probably be shocked at how often this gets pulled out to measure something. I used it just the other day to measure curtains. I've used it to measure the distance between these shelves behind me because we're looking to put a floating shelf in between the two one day. So it has landed here and stayed here, and it's been used a lot. We also have a pair of scissors. I think it's just an office staple. We need to have it out, and we can grab these and know where they are anytime that we need them. So they make their way in here as well. We also have the bits that accommodate our office pens, like our laptop pens. We have our blue light cameras, because some days after a really long day of appointments and you're tired of looking at a screen, these things truly come in handy. We each have a pair. And then we have the remote control for our box lights. A few random things always find their way into here, such as dry erase markers. I have a bag for a blue light glasses, which we just never use. I have a little flash drive and a push pin. So I'm gonna relocate these items, get them off the desk, but that is everything that sits in our desk caddy. Now that the desk is dry, let's talk about the things that stay on our desk every single day, such as our laptops. Both Jason and I individually have our own laptops that we use for the work that we do. Jason has a Lenovo, and I have an Acer. So aside from each having our laptops on our desk, we have a few other key things that have been implemented in order to make our working environment a little bit easier. Jason prefers his laptop to be a little bit more elevated. And I must say, from time to time, I steal this from him. But we have one laptop lift, which extends far beyond what anyone needs a laptop to do, though you'd be surprised how often we move this thing around. But Jason's laptop is the one that typically sits on this. As I talk about having two laptops on our desk, one of the biggest assets that we have in this room in terms of user-friendly space is the desk itself. This is not just an ordinary desk. It's actually a dining room table. We purchased the tabletop and legs from IKEA as a means of being a lot more user-friendly in terms of space, so that we could both be working here without tripping or bumping into each other. Don't get me wrong, it's still tight, but it is far better than your typical small individual person desk. Recently added to our desk has been a keyboard, comboed with a mouse, and then because my click pad doesn't click no more, I also have a mouse. Outside of our electronic devices that sit on our desk in terms of must-haves on here, the last one is my planner, and typically Jason's, which he has with him right now. But having my planner with me is a must-have, because I don't know how I'd know what I need to do in a day if it wasn't for it. So when it comes to our desk space, this is it. This is all that typically sits on our desktop. Having a really clean space allows us to be, first off, always ready to just jump on, do an appointment, and get to work when it's clean and laid out and organized. But it also means that we can work in a clean environment that isn't overwhelming and stressful. Now, you saw the office when we came in here, and it didn't look like this. So let's talk about what we do with some of the things that happen to accumulate and collect in our office and how we keep those things organized. In many years past, I have had small, compact filing cabinets that we would put all of our files in. However, when Jason and I came together, he actually had this more open concept filing cabinet that ended up working far better for our individual needs to keep everything that needed to be in our filing cabinet available and handy. This unit here, which unfortunately I have no idea where he got it from, has the filing rack up top, a surface, 2 storage drawers, and then a platform for other stuff. Now, our needs over this new digital COVID age has changed so much. While we used to have a filing cabinet at the office where we would keep all of our client files, when we moved home, a lot of that stuff came with us. However, we quickly realized that having paper files was not really handy if we were out and about, because we didn't have the client files, which means we had very little information. But it also put client files at risk. Don't get me wrong, the odds of a building fire are not really high. But by having only paper files for all of our clients, somehow it dawned on us that that was kind of a non-practical idea. So, the dawn of COVID, everything that we had in terms of client files was uploaded to an encrypted database. So now we can actually access all of our client files whenever we need to from wherever we are. So a lot of that stuff got shredded. Our filing section now is only for the things that are personal, relating to our own lives and business. Because we are business owners, there is so much more that we need to keep in our filing cabinet in order to keep it organized but practical for tax time. I haven't totally moved away from paper receipts in entirety. There is still a large portion of our receipts that we keep in paper so that we can upload them when it comes time to taxes. And then we have to file everything for 7 years. In our closet, we do have our tax bin. So this is everything that we have filed over the last couple years for our business specifically, so that we can keep it on record should we need it, and then we file and shred every single year. We've been able to drastically decrease the size of most of this because every single year we file our taxes and then consolidate it all into a single manila envelope, like one of these, and then it goes into our tax bin, which means every year this filing cabinet starts out fresh and new. Another thing that we keep in our closet, which has been a topic of discussion on whether we are going to keep it or not, is the printer. Truth be told, this printer currently is out of ink, and it has been for quite some time. For the very few things that we have needed to print over the last year, we have simply gone to Staples while we were out doing errands, had it printed there, paid the 10, 20, maybe 30 cents to have it printed, and that has been significantly less expensive than replacing the ink in this machine. The biggest challenge we've had with this machine is that because we print so rarely, that the ink dries out before we get around to it. We have been contemplating getting rid of this printer now for quite some time. We just haven't done it yet. Aside from a recycle shred bin, which we frequently bring to the office to dispose of properly, the only other thing that this caddy really holds is our excess office supplies. Now, this is another area of which we have gone through frequently to evaluate the current need that we have. Things like dry erase markers and Sharpies are obviously found in here, as well as a few additional pens in case one goes missing. There are other things in here that we've not touched in a very long time. Let's have a peek at what is in here. This is our excess office supplies inventory, and there really isn't much in here. This caddy here houses most of our excess pens and stuff, but really mostly it's things like Sharpies and dry erase markers. Outside of this we also have an assortment of scrap note papers, post-it notes, which are quickly becoming a thing of the past. A stapler, which I can't remember the last time we used because we don't have paper. Staples to go with it. A carabiner, you never know. This one also has a lock on it, which is handy. We have some tape for gift wrap, which I'm really just trying to use up. We have some coin rolls. Not that coins are a common thing in our house anymore. And then random odds and ends, like the inks for my fountain pen, some random push pins and paper clips, old name badges, which we no longer really need, and an extra charger for my laptop. This drawer does not get opened very often because there's, sadly, not things we use very commonly in here anymore. Other than batteries, this holds a few different things. We have a random assortment of envelopes, some labels, some more labels, some index cards, which usually just get used when we have speeches or such. We have some thank you cards, some wine labels, postage stamps, which I might put in here, printer paper, and then apparently a shopper's card and a library card. Those can both be disposed of. Down on the very bottom where you would have seen some paperwork, we have a few select things that have yet to be sorted or filed. We have the warranty for our blinds, which I'm just gonna file in here under home. Our cruise that came with my engagement ring, which I hope we will still get to use. We have the file for the build of our house, which I'm gonna put the curtain information in, but it just simply doesn't fit in our standard filing cabinet, so underneath is a great place for it. And then I have two filing folders. They are both empty at this present time. We keep these handy so that I can organize my taxes in one and Jason can organize his taxes in the other. These are basically just transportation devices for when we meet with the accountant every year. And then we have our manila envelopes for taxes, as well as laminating sheets, because we had a need for that. And that's it. That is everything that sits in our caddy. We've moved so far away from paper that we don't have a whole lot of it left in our house. Most of our lives are switched to digital, and if you haven't done it yet, I recommend it. I recommend sitting with someone who is able to hook you up with a digital platform so that you can start to take advantage of a much cleaner space. In saying this, one of the biggest ways that we are able to ensure that what little paper we do have stays clean and organized and off of our workspace is that we make sure to be constantly filing our receipts at every chance that we get. I've done a previous closet organization video, and the only other things that we store in this office closet is board games and the bags and packages for other things electronics, such as our light boxes, extra lights, and then the bags that we use when we visit clients, kind of like our laptop bags in person. We really consciously make sure not to hold on to things that are no longer relevant. And this is just a really big part of decluttering. I am on an ongoing adventure of working to declutter our bookshelves. I love books, not just the reading of the books, but I love the way that they look. I love the way that they bring a more academic visual to a backdrop for our Zoom videos. But things that we do not hold on to is things like this. Business cards are a thing of the past. We purchased business cards, we never used business cards, and then we got married and changed our name, which means all of these business cards no longer have my name on it. And because we don't use business cards, we are not holding on to them. These are going to be shredded and disposed of because they don't serve us anymore. Outside of our closet, we do keep a small electronics box of mostly things associated directly with film. It holds the chargers for our box lights, a few extra specifically designed for recording, a speaker, and really just random things that needs to come with us. We hold extra power cords, blocks, which get used quite a bit, and extra odds and ends for our devices. We keep this box handy because you never know when you're going to need to be able to jump in here really quickly as we use this stuff the most. Being in a constant state of decluttering is, in my beliefs, the best way to keep a space organized and clean. Recently, I decided to go totally out on a limb and organize all the books on my shelf by color. I did this mostly for aesthetic purposes to make our Zoom background a little bit more congruent and fluid, and it allowed it to make it feel less cluttered by having the colors organized together, such as here where you see all the books with a predominantly black book cover come together and it stands out a little bit less, similar to the blue down here and then the white that I put over at the top. In that process, I decluttered a whole bunch more books, which I'm going to bring downstairs and put with the rest of our home decluttering things so they can be brought to a Goodwill location or some other thrift store I happen to come across so that they can go to use for someone who's going to use them more than we will. Always being on a journey of decluttering is really what makes a space more efficient and more congruent to what you're trying to build in your space and to make your office somewhere where you actually want to work. The biggest problem and challenge that we still face in our office is the power cords. I have made the choice to put our desk in the middle of the room. I like this because if Jason is working on his side of the desk, I don't have to get him to move for me to be able to get to my spot at the desk, especially if he's in an appointment or on a team meeting where I don't really want to be passing behind him in the camera. The ability to simply just walk around the front of the desk without tripping over the power cords and get to my spot to either grab my laptop or get some work done makes it a whole lot easier. In saying that, it means that the power cords down on the ground are kind of a disaster. I've yet to find a solution for this. Basically, what I've done is I've singled everything out to this one power box and just moved it this way. Maybe it's just enough space for me to be able to get around to my workspace. So there you have it. That's the organization for our office. Now, I understand that this may not be exactly what you expected to inspire you to clean your own, because maybe you have a lot more paperwork and a lot more files and folders. But I would challenge you, is there a way that you can digitalize all of the stuff that you have? Whether it be that you use something like OneDrive or a Dropbox or an encrypted method if that's required for what you do, but maybe it's time that you switch over to a more digital platform so you can get rid of the paper clutter. And on top of that, know that it's a process. Know that it's 30 minutes at a time every day to get your office space to the way that you want it so you can quickly toss it all together and maintain it that way. But I'm glad that I finally was able to share this video with you guys of how our office looks, how we maintain it, and how we're able to get it to a point where it is quick and efficient to clean and looks amazing for all of our Zoom meetings. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you loved getting a sneak peek into our office space and how we make it work for us. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next ones. Until next time, bye.